Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing well. This side Priya Bhatia, and in this specific video we will be discussing about another interesting topic. Now I hope that from the previous few videos you have been observing that I myself, if I'll talk about the programming languages, is more biased towards Python programming because of its unique features, because of its internal packages and libraries that it contains, which makes DSA as well as data science bit easier to understand, bit easier to implement. So in this specific video, we will be discussing about the internals of Python. Yes, it's very important if you're talking about any programming language to understand that how internally it will work. Although I have a separate playlist of Python programming where end to end everything is covered up, but this specific topic I feel is somehow really important to understand. So I will try to attach this video also in that specific playlist itself. Plus, this is a recording of one of my sessions. So you will be able to observe that I'm trying to explain each and every concept in a lot more detail. And it's a big video. So please make sure you will try to document your learning. Whatever implementations I'm doing in the session, try to do it on your own because just by watching the video, you won't be able to get the better understanding. Until or unless you will not do your own research, you will not try to implement your own code on top of this. So please make sure you will watch the video till the very end to gain the proper understanding of the session. Please make sure you will hit like button and share this content with everyone. I have been observing that still there are many people who are watching the content, taking the knowledge also, but still not subscribing the channel as well. So it's my humble request to those people. It really means a lot to me if you will just subscribe to my channel and support me to reach to more wider audience. With this motivation, let's get started. So we have talked about Google Colab platform. Also, we have talked about the data types of Python programming. Yes. What are those? Anyone who can let me know? What are those which we have covered up with respect to data types?
Float, string,
Int, float,
integer,
Bool and
complex.
complex.
Very good. So we have talked about data types with respect to Python programming. And inside that, we have covered up with its implementation part per se, integer, float, uh, string, then then what?
complex,
Complex, then what?
Bool.
Boolean, right? We have covered up all these data types with respect to Python programming language. Then further, what we have covered up?
how to do slicing,
Very good. So we have deep dive into the string specific type, if you remember. We have seen that internally that list will be stored as a form of a, sorry, string will be stored as a form of a list. And we have seen that how basically we can access any character from a given string. We have seen that how can we do a slicing operation in a given string. That is also we have covered up. Um,
indexing and negative indexing, and
we have talked about negative indexing, which is specifically available in the Python programming only. Other languages don't have this specific thing. Any other thing which we are missing apart from this?
Palin
Typecasting.
identification of palindrome.
Yes. So we have talked about typecasting. Typecasting simple meaning is that we are trying to convert one type to another. For example, when we were solving the question of palindrome, I hope you all remember. Inside that, we have given on the platform x as the integer number. And when we are solving that palindrome question, we have converted that int to str. And then we have applied the checking operation where we just check that whether the value of x is equal to the value of x colon colon minus 1. So what is this doing? What is this doing? Colon colon minus 1. Uh-huh.
It returns the word from the end.
Yes. So can I say
It's the
indirectly it is
letter.
a reversal of a string, or it's a reversal operation in Python? Correct, everyone? So we have seen that when we are writing colon colon minus one, it means that we are by default, with respect to this specific slicing, starts from the end. It will go till the index value as zero and will keep on decreasing the pointer value. For example, I will start from n minus one, will go until zero, and it will go minus one, minus one, minus one, minus one, till it reaches to the value of zero. For example, if let's say I have a string length last index value as 5, so it will start from 5, then it will go to 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0, and it return the entire results, whatever we want to print. So indirectly, we can say it's a reversal operation that we have covered up in our last session. Make sense? Any other thing apart from this? This much we have covered up. Any other thing which we are missing? So shall we start our discussion from this point? And let's start to deep dive into more, internals behind how the Python programming language works, and internal intuition behind everything. Because in the last class, I have not covered up with respect to the internals of Python. So shall we start today's discussion? Everyone is ready? Okay. So सबसे पहले तो we will talk about today that what are the different data structures we have in Python. So till so far, we have covered up about, if you remember, data types. Now, I think in today's session, we will spend our most of our time with respect to discussion about data structures and definitely about the internals of this programming language that we have. Before we will deep dive into the data structures part, we have talked about, for example, int, float, string, complex, boolean, which are the data types of Python programming. Let's say I am saying a is equal to 2. A is equal to 2. So if I'm mentioning the type of A, so what my answer will be?
String.
Int.
Int, not string. See, whenever we are saying string, it should be always enclosed with double quotes. Always remember that. That's the way to interpret the data types. So if I ask you internally how this, variable will be allocated in the memory, do you have any idea? If someone will ask you, this can be asked from you in an interview also, that how basically these memory allocation happened in Python programming when you are saying A is equal to 2. So what usually happens internally in the memory? Anyone who is having an idea or want to make any guesses? If you're aware about any other programming language, maybe Java, C++, then also you can correlate and let me know what you are thinking. What should be your guesses? Ki, Priya, this can happen. Yeah.
Yeah, in binary 0 1 thing.
Okay. 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 So I'm not talking about in that perspective. What is the memory structure we have? How many of you knows in programming languages?
Primary, secondary.
Primary, secondary is fine, but in the main memory, I'm asking. So there is something called as heap in our memory allocation. How many of you are aware? Let me fetch some diagram if I will be able to get that. Memory allocation in OS. Let me take images. Not this one. Yes, this is the application memory that we have, where we have multiple components in a memory. So let me just save this image. Have you ever seen this image in your
So,
work?
yeah, so this heap, what it will do if two or the multiple values is having, or the variable is having the same value, then it will relocate to same. If it is different, then it will like instead of using the same space, it will create the separate some volume. It will assign to that new variable, whoever is having the different values. So there is no particular space, it is just like free space will be there.
For example, let's say if I am assigning A as 2, so what will happen internally in my memory
So onto the
as per
heap
you?
there will be one block will be created which will assign a equals to 2, and parallelly if b is assigning the same value of 2, then a and b will target to the same block,
Which is 2, you are saying,
which
right?
is 2. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Makes sense, makes sense. Let me just insert that image first and then let's deep dive into what she wants to convey. Let's see whether it's perfectly fine or not. So let me just fetch this up in the image. So I hope this is perfectly visible to everyone now. So always remember when we are talking about the application memory which is working internally, we have various components. For example, heap, stack, code, static, and global. Heap is the free memory, which is what we call as dynamic memory. And in Python, whatever work we are doing usually happens in this heap memory allocation. So uh, why is that so? Because of its property. So let me just write it over here. So always remember, Python programming language specifically works with dynamic memory allocation. Simple meaning is at the time of executing the code, at the time of executing the code, if let's say my code requires more space, so dynamically at runtime, it will allocate more space as well. Whereas other programming languages, for example, Java, in that we have to define properly the space. For example, when we are trying to curate a data structure called as list or array, 1D or 2D, we need to define in those programming languages that how much is the size you want. But in this specific language, there is no need to define because at runtime, whatever is the requirement of the user, as per the memory per se, at runtime, it will allocate. Is that point is clear what I'm trying to convey? Dynamic means this word indicates dynamic means runtime, means it is flexible. It will keep on changing as per the requirements of the user. That's why user don't need to define that, okay, this much is the size of the list I want. That's the beauty about this Python programming language. And that is the main reason why this programming language, gets very famous. In the last survey, I have shown you, right, how famous this is nowadays. That's the main reason because of this property of dynamic memory allocation. Now I will talk about this in more detail within few minutes, that how internally these things will work. And even though we are not defining the size, how my system will get to know, okay, this is the size and this is the memory you have to allocate. We will come on to that point. But before jumping towards that, let's try to understand that what will happen if a user in a code define A as 2, right? So what is happening is, uh, usually in other programming languages, variable is being defined in a memory part. But in Python, opposite happens. Means what I'm trying to convey, 2 will be a part of a block in the heap memory. And what will happen is it will point to, for now, a variable. That is the structure which will happen. Usually in other programming languages, a will be a variable will be a part of the memory, and that value will be assigned towards that variable. But here what I'm saying is 2 will be a 2 block which will be a part of a heap memory, and it will be referencing, it will be pointing towards a. Now if let's say in future I will mention b is equal to 2, let's suppose in my code, so what will happen is in the same block this 2 also points towards B. That is why when you're trying to print the value of B or A, you will get the value as 2. But if let's say in future you are saying now B is equals to, let's say, Priya. So what will happen? Any idea? Any clue? What should happen now? If let's say, so what I'm trying to convey, here I will be having a code file available. It's a Google Colab only, which we have discussed in the last session. Let me connect this file first of all. So I'm saying, let's suppose A is equal to 2. So here in this part of the section of the session, we are discussing about Python's internal working. So let's spend some time over this, that what is happening behind the scene, and then maybe we will move ahead. So what I'm saying is, let's say A is equals to 2. Then I'm saying B is also equals to 2. When I'm printing the value of B, what do you think is the answer now? It will be definitely 2. Let's wait for a while. And then what I will do is, I will try to change this value of B to Priya. And again, if I try to print B, what will be the answer? Any answers? What will be the answer? Any guesses? Anyone?
Yeah.
Priya. So let's try to see. So question is, how is this happening? Is that overwriting that value of Priya? Or what is happening internally? That's the question which I'm asking from you. So basically, it will try to allocate another block now. It will create one more block by the name of Priya. And it will say that this Priya is now referencing towards B. Priya is now referencing towards B. So that link has got disconnected and this link will be there now. So when you are printing the value of A, still 2 will be printed. But as soon as you will print the value of B, Priya will be printed. So always remember, whenever you are trying to initialize any of the variable, the value will be a part of a heap memory and the referencing will be done towards the variable which you are defining. So whenever you are printing either A or B, you will get that appropriate value corresponding to that, which is the reference point towards that variable. Is that picture is clear to everyone? Is it fine for everyone? Any doubts in this part? Anyone? Make sense?
Yes, clear.
Okay, perfect. So now the question is, we're talking about dynamic memory allocation. It means that we don't need to define prior what is the size of the memory, right? Now you can ask me a question that, Priya, how is this feasible? Like, we are not defining it, but there should come a point where if I'll keep on appending the elements in my list, it should give me an error. The error like out of bound or out of memory size, anything should come. But usually this is not happening. So how internally the Python programming language is handling these things? Any idea before I'll talk about this? The question is clear, I hope. For example, let's say I have a list. I hope you all know list is one of the data structure in which we are storing the elements of different types. For example, let's say for now I'm storing the numeric type data, which is 24, then 47, then 76, then 64, then 42, then let's say 65. And by default, the list indexes will start from 0. So it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number of elements that we have is 6 in this case. In future, if let's say new element will come, so I have an option of list, LST. So what I can do, I'll show you today, there is an option of append. And you can just append the element whatever you want. So let's say I'm appending 67. So by default, now 67 will be appended towards this list, like here. And you will see that a new block is coming up, 67. It will be available over 6th index. Now the question is that, okay, it is happening. It is, at a runtime, appending the size of the memory and will be able to store the element. But the question is, how is this happening? Is there any limitation of the size? Until what point of time I will keep on appending the elements and no error will come? Is there any limit, any storage limit, like after which we will get the error and we will not able to add the element in the list? Any answers, anyone? Have you ever given a thought? In the last few people have told me that they have used somehow Python programming in their work. So specifically for those people who are already aware about Python programming, have you ever given a thought that how is this happening? Because in Java, in C++, you have observed that somehow we need to define a size while doing an initialization of an array, 1D array or 2D array or 3D array. But in this, we're not doing. We're directly jumping towards writing the elements in the data structure and just trying to append the values. So how is this happening? Anyone? Any idea? So Ayush is saying that there is no limit as it stores the variable dynamically on the run rather than statically where we can append anything in between. Okay, that is fine. Okay, there is no limit you are saying. But if there is no limit, my next question is ki internally, how is this happening? Ki, like, how my memory will get to know ki, okay, let's increase the size or let's keep on appending it. Any clue, any idea? Anyone? List is a linear data structure. It's a linear means sequential data structure. What is the meaning of data structure? I think in the last class also I have conveyed a way to store the data in an efficient or a structured manner. List is one among them. We will discuss today list in a more detail, so don't worry. For now, you can consider that, okay, we have a list, which is a linear data structure, where we can store n number of elements, whatever we want, in one go, in a sequential manner, right? So 47 is there, 46, 27 to 24 is there, 47 is there, 76 is there, and so on. So my question is that we are not defining any size in this specific list. For example, let's say we will be having a list. The way to define this list is this kind of a bracket, right? Now, what I'm saying is, let's say you are defining list 24, 47, and what are the other numbers? 76, 64. We have 76, we have 64, we have 42, we have 65, we have 67. And then when we print this specific list, LST, we will be able to get this element, right? Now, what I'm saying is, if let's say I want to add new elements. So here in the list, we have multiple functions, which are the default functions that we have. In one of them, we have a function of append. So append means that we want to add few more elements after 67. For example, I have 74. Again, if I'll just try to print this LST list, so you will be able to see that a new element is being added. So my question is that how internally this thing is happening? Like, okay, it is adding on because it's a dynamic memory allocation, but how internally my code is working? That's the question. So let's try to deep dive into that fact. So there is something called as, there is one data structure. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of that. That is called as hashing. Anyone who is having an idea about this hashing specific data structure? Any idea? So internally that data structure usually works. So what usually happens is that you know that there is a mapping of indexing or indexes that we have with respect to the given values in a list. So let's say we will be having the values available as 24, 47. I'm just trying to curate vertically rather than seeing it horizontally. So then we have 76, then we have 64, then we have 42, then we have 65, then we have 67. Now, do you remember how the indexes will be inclined in a list? From which number it will start by default? We have covered up in our last class. Who will remember?
0.
0. So it's kind of a mapping is there. By default, it will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I hope you remember. There is also, we have discussed about negative indexing, where we have said that, again, there is a mapping which is going on internally, where the last element in a list is mapped with -1. Afterwards, we have -2. Then we have -3, -4, -5, -6, and -7. So that is the another way where in Python mapping is being done. When I'm saying mapping, it means that as soon as you will say LST of, let's say, 2, it will return you the answer as 76. Because it knows that, okay, at second index, by default, 76 is available. Or in other words, if you will say LST of -5, it will return the answer as again 76, because it knows that internally there is a mapping which is going on. So when I'm saying mapping means that internally there is a key value pair which is available. Key is, in our case, index number, and value is the value which is inserted by the user. So that is the property which we called as random access. And because of this property, we will be able to get a constant time complexity to access any element. Now, what usually happens if a user will say that I want to, increase the size from 7 elements to, let's say, 10 elements or 20 elements or 30 elements, how internally things will happen. For example, initially, by default, they have defined a size of the list as 10. So if a user will insert more elements, that user can insert by using that append function. So what will happen over here is that by default, that there is a size of 10. So you can extend the elements if you want as per your wish. Because my data structure have space 7, 8, and 9. So here we will be having 74. Here we will be having 77. Here we will be having 82. So I can simply extend the elements, and as per that extension, the mapping will get changed automatically. We will not, as a user, do anything in this specific scenario, right? So this will be done. So here we will be having -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, and -10. But so by default, we have a mapping that the value of n should be 10. So as soon as a user will keep on adding its entries till the size of 10, there won't be any issue internally. But afterwards, what will happen? That is the interesting scenario. As soon as user will say that I want to append in lst.append a new value, which is, let's say, 100. So internally, it will try to curate a new list with the size of n into whatever the size I will be having into 2. Double size it will curate. For example, for now, we have 10 size initially in the original list, into 2 is 20. So what is happening over here is it will try to curate a new specific list data structure. Internally, this will happen. Means you won't be able to see as such that, okay, at what point of time this is happening. We usually feel that this is happening automatically, but internally, this is the thing which is going on. So it will try to take a new list altogether. And what will happen is, now, as soon as it will curate that, so it will be having a space from 0 to 19. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So what will happen is we will be having 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And after that, second step will be, once it will be able to curate the double size, it will copy the elements. Second step will be, it will copy the entire list of elements. So how will it copy? Let's try to understand that stuff as well. So it will take 24. So 47. After that, 64, 76, 64, 42. 76, 64, 42. After that, we have 65, 67. After that, we have 74. Then we have 77 and 82. Now, as soon as the new element will come up, that new element will now easily get extended, which is 100. So this is how basically the internal working will come. Now, let's say if a user will try to add more elements, he can add 110, 200, 220, 240, 270, 290, let's say, 310, 100, again, let's say 110. Now, as soon as, let's say, a user wants to append more elements after 110, let's say he wants to append, let's say, 120. So same process will repeat again. Same process repeats. Means it will try to curate a new list. So for now, this is now LST. So referencing will get changed. As soon as new list will be there, it will not, the previous list will not be there. There will be a garbage collector, which automatically removes the previous list because there is no pointing going on. And my new list will become the second one. And as soon as your second list will be filled up, the third list will be created with the size n into 2, which is 20 into 2, which is 40 size. And this is how the complete process will be covered up. There is something called as load factor. So internally, what happens is my system will try to understand that how much is my load. Load means how many values are available currently out of total size of the values. For example, if let's say 8 values are available and you will be having 10 size memory. In the previous case, if you remember, we have 10, right? Initially, when we start our journey. So in this case, we will be having, let's say you have just now filled 2 elements, let's suppose. And if someone will ask you, what is the load factor of your array, your list? So the answer will be, load factor is how many values we have inserted, which is for now 8. What is the total size? It is 10. So it will be 0.8. So as soon as the load factor is more than 0.8, usually this process will start. So that at any point of time, as a developer, as a user of using the Python programming language, we won't face any issue. And that is why you will observe that this dynamic, list concept is a, I would say, expensive task. And it requires too much time also. Because internally somehow it is doing not much stuff. It will be checking that what is the load factor. Every time if the load factor is hitting towards 0.8, means 80% data is already filled up. It will do this kind of a process where it will try to curate a new list of size n into 2, copying the elements which are available, and after that adding more elements. So that's the complete process which is going on internally behind the scene. As a user, sometimes because we are not seeing the internal things of Python, we don't understand this stuff. And we think that, okay, it's amazing that we are, directly adding the element and it's really amazing task. But this is how the internal work is going on by the programming language itself. So is that part is clear to everyone? Any doubts over here? Anyone? Any questions anyone is having? With respect to dynamic memory allocation part, this is also called as dynamic list. So in Python, so we don't have a concept of static list. Static means that your list is fixed. You cannot change it. You cannot extend it. We don't have that concept. In other programming languages, we do have, where you usually define the size, right? And then you will add the elements. Here, we are not defining the size. So the only reason is because we do have only dynamic listing concept in Python programming. That's the main reason. So is that part is clear to everyone now? Any doubt? Anyone? Is the dynamic listing concept is clear? Any trouble anyone is having? You can discuss, you can ask. I'm giving a pause of few seconds and then we can start. So are you guys aware about this part? Dynamic listing and how it is usually happen in Python programming? Before this session, obviously. Have you heard somewhere or read some article or did some your research on this part? That how internally these things are happening? The allocation of list part and how dynamically it is changing the size automatically before this session. Anyone? Any idea? Or no? You have not explored. Okay. So if it is new for maximum people, please after this session, maybe you can refer few articles or you can refer chat GPT platform, and try to understand. Even I'll also check it out if I'll find some relevant articles for this specific part, because this is an important topic. Because many people usually know the outside things in Python, but internal things are really important to understand. Then only you can have a actual understanding of the stuffs, right? So maybe if I'll find something useful after the session, I'll also share those articles in the WhatsApp group. If there is anyone who have still not joined that group, please do join that and stay connected over there. Be active over there. And even I have seen that you guys are getting some questions, some queries, and you guys are not discussing with each other. Rather than that, you are pinging me directly. Better idea could be, because every time it won't be feasible for me to be available for you all, right? I hope you can understand this stuff because of the multiple commitments which I usually have. So the good idea could be, rather than waiting for me the whole day or 2 days or 3 days, you can directly discuss with your teammates or your colleagues or your batchmates who are working with you and getting the understanding of the same. I always feel that group study, is highly preferable as comparable to rather than you are studying it alone. And if you are doing a group study and doing a discussion, which is a good discussion, quality discussion, that would be a great idea, right? Nowadays, even if you don't have an access to chat on the WhatsApp group, you can connect with the person via LinkedIn and you can do a discussion over there. And then maybe you can have a constructive, I feel, uh, feedback and constructive learning with respect to these sessions, whatever you are learning over here, right? So that is the important thing, which I hope everyone should be able to understand. So shall we move ahead now to the next topic? So dynamic list is done, and how the heap memory allocation is being done, that is also done. So this is all about internals of Python. Now let's again deep dive into further important stuff, which is data structures in Python. List is one among them. So we will discuss in more detail about list now. So when we're talking about data structures, how many types of data structures do we have? Any idea? Anyone? First of all, I have already told you what is the meaning of data structure. It's simply a way to store the data in an efficient manner. Efficient, or you can say structured manner. Okay. So when I'm talking about data structures, usually we have two types of data structures. If someone will ask you, one is linear and another one is non-linear. So we have linear data structure and we have non-linear specific data structure. When we are saying linear data structure, it means that whatever data you have, you are storing it in a sequential manner. You are storing it in a sequential manner. And in non-linear, definitely you are storing it in somehow in a hierarchical manner. Hierarchy means, for example, at our home, we have grandmother or grandfather, then we have mother, father, then we have us. Maybe if someone is married, they have their own children. So there's a hierarchy. So whenever these kind of structures will be there in the data structure part, we call it as a non-linear one. And if there's a sequential structure, for example, let's say you are, going in a queue where people are trying to book train tickets, or in the metro station, you are in a queue where you want to add more money, right, in the metro card. So basically, this is something which is an example of a linear specific data structure. So we have multiple data structures with respect to linear part also, and with respect to non-linear part also. I won't go in more detail. The reason could be because our focus is majorly on this specific, data analytics portion per se. But again, I will highly recommend to everyone, if you get a time, please try to, explore towards this data structure and algorithms part. Because I always say, whatever knowledge you have in terms of technical skill set with respect to data science or data analytics, the, you know, one thing in the industry which is still relevant is that in the initial rounds, they will ask you the questions from DSA, data structure and algorithms. Every company usually have a different level of questions which they will ask. And definitely you can again refer the lead code platform to understand that what kind of questions they usually ask. Very few companies which are the initial startups, they might not ask you these questions of DSA, and directly they will ask you about the projects and the technical skill set with respect to that specific domain which you are applying. But apart from that, as per my industry experience which I had, and even I usually try to ask from my friends who are working in great companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, or if I usually, as a checking point, try to see the interview process and manually give the interview so that I will get to know that what kind of things are currently on demand, just to make sure that whatever I am teaching will be relevant to them. That's the main sole idea. So what I have observed from my experience, as well as the experience of my co-learners, that DSA is still relevant, and companies like, you can say, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, to companies like Uber, Ola, which is a startup specific companies, but now it's a good startups, they are asking DSA in a very wide detail. So even if you learn complete data analytics part end to end, you will get a job in a good company when you will prepare for DSA also. Apart from this, they will not expect you to be having a, expertise over DSA in terms of that you will be able to solve hard level problems of DSA on lead code, but easy to medium level, definitely they will ask. So please make sure at your end, try to spend your time with respect to DSA part per se also. In this specific sessions, my objective is not to go in detail with respect to that part. My objective is key whatever is specific for Python programming and is required as per data analytics per se, so that in future, whenever we will work with projects, you will have an understanding. That portion only I will cover up. I'll not cover up everything. So I'm saying it to be very frank, because I don't want anyone to rely with respect to DSA on my sessions per se. It's a, I would say, in a pool of 100%, I'm just covering up 20%. That's it. 80%, you are not aware. So please try to refer the and explore the resources from where you can learn. Okay. So when I'm talking about linear data structure, I have already talked about, it's a sequential one. So the examples of that will be arrays, which in Python we usually call it as a list as well. The example of that will be, you must have heard about stack, you must have heard about queue, you must have heard about linked list. So all these are the, you can say, famous data structures that we have, which are the components of a linear specific data structure. When we talk about hierarchical manner, it means that we have something called as trees, graphs, right? There is something called as a topic of price. So all these are the components of a non-linear specific data structure. So wherever you can see that networking is going on, for example, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever people are networking with each other, so there is a hierarchy which is there. So that is where we will be having a non-linear specific data structures. And whenever you can see that there is a sequential thing going on, for example, any website, if you explore any website, what usually happens is stack or queue internal working is going on. If you want to see the history of your laptop and you want to check the order of that, you will see that the relevant sections which you have recently explored will be there on the top. The sections which you have previously explored will be available maybe over last 1 month, last 2 months in the section of that. And whenever automatic history removal happen, so it will happen with respect to previous things which you have explored, right? So all these kind of things are a part of a, you can say, linear specific data structures. In a sequential manner, data is stored. Now, in Python specifically, we will be focusing in our sessions with respect to four data structures, sorry, which is list. Second one is tuple. Third one is set. And the last one is dictionary. So there are four ways which we will focus majorly on, that how can we store our data with respect to these four data structures: list, tuple, set, and dictionary. And now we will start exploring it step by step. So shall we proceed? Everyone is ready? Then maybe we can start ahead. List already we have explored, but I'll try to talk about few more functions in list. And then maybe we will move ahead with respect to other data structures. Yes. Is everyone ready? So till so far, whatever things we have covered up from last 1 hour, I think is fine for everyone. Shall we proceed to the next portion? So with respect to this portion, I will do the implementation. And with the implementation only, I will try to showcase you the stuff. If you want to do with me, you can also open a collab platform at your own part. Just you have to tap in the Google Chrome, Google Colab, and open a new fresh file, and then we can start. So shall we start now? Everyone is ready? Shall we start? Yes. Perfect. Just keep on active so that I will get to know you guys are not sleeping. It's afternoon time. Maybe many people coming here after having a great lunch. So just to check you out in between, that whether you are sleeping or not, I just want the response from everyone. Okay? Because I want these sessions to be interactive. And that's my main objective. Ki whatever I'm covering up in the session, it should be clear to everyone. So just make sure you will keep on active in the chat window, or maybe you can unmute yourself. That's the idea behind live sessions. Otherwise, though, content wise, you can watch it from everywhere, right? So now let's move ahead and let's try to deep dive into the list part first. Already list is something which we have discussed. We are trying to store the elements. And one thing, if you remember, I told you in a list, you can store multiple type of elements as well. What is the meaning of multiple type? I'm talking about multiple data types. For example, if I just want to append in this same list, the elements after that, a string called as Priya. And after that, I just want to print the list LST. So what do you think? Will it throw an error, or it will directly print the list with after 74 Priya should come? What do you think? Will it throw an error, or it will be automatically gets appended after 74? So Ayush is saying error will come. Let's try to see. Error will not come. So usually, again, there is again difference. Please try to document this step as well, what I'm trying to convey with this example. When we are talking about other data structures, for example, Java, in Java, when we try to create an array, what usually happens is we always have a practice to understand the array as where we will be able to store the elements of same type, means same data type. Either you can store all the elements in the form of an integer or string or float, but all the elements should be of same type. In Python, that restriction is no more. Means you can store within one list different types of elements. That's again the second beauty about this Python programming. First beauty, dynamic memory allocation. dynamic listing. So a user won't need to define prior that what is the size of the list they want. Second beauty that we have covered up, different types also we can store within one list. Right? Now, can we store inside this list itself another list? That is the another question which I have. Let's see what will be your answer. For example, if I'll say lst.append and I will say, let's say 2, 4, 6. So what I'm saying is, in the same list, can I store internal one more list? And if I'll just print this list lst, what do you think? Will the error will come, or it will run perfectly fine and it will simply store the list of 246 after Priya? Any thoughts? Any guesses?
246 after Priya.
Okay, let's try to run this. And you can easily observe that even if we want to store any other data structure in one data structure, for example, outer list is one data structure. Inside that inner list is there, we can easily store that. And you will easily observe in maximum interview questions, you have to see that what kind of result they want from us. Sometimes they want a list of list. So this is something which we call as list of list. List of list meaning, so sorry, let me write a text over here. You will heard this term very frequently in the Python programming, list of list, meaning in one list, there is another list available. Okay? Below is the example for this. So we have one major list. Inside that we have one more list available. So that is the list of list. Okay? Okay, makes sense. Now, after this, if let's say I want to access this 246, so how can I access? What should I write? So LST of what? I want to access this specific 246. So how can I access? That's the question. How can we access any element in a list? Few minutes back, I told you.
List slicing.
Uh-huh.
By slicing, by mentioning the starting index and ending index in the
See,
list, we can.
but I want only single this thing. I don't want that from 24 to 246 all the elements. I don't want from 65 to 246 all the elements. Again, there is one thing which I feel you guys are missing with respect to what I'm trying to convey. We have discussed about slicing. Slicing means that you want a subset of the list. You have one bigger list. From that list, you want a portion or a subset of that main list. That is something which you call it as slicing. We are doing a slicing operation. Here, I don't want to do slicing. I want to access one specific element from a given list. So can't we do that directly via mentioning the index number? And because it's a last specific index value, so either we can go for -1 or we can go for, it's a 0 index, it's a first index, second index, third index, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth index. So in both the cases, we will be able to get simply the list as 2, 4, 6. Will that make sense to everyone? Is that correct? Yes. Is that correct, everyone? Now, again, listen my problem statement very carefully. I want to access this 4. I want to access this 4, not the complete list of 246. I want to access just 4. So what can I do? how can we access the complete list 246? Now, in that list also, I want to access a single element, which is 4. So how can I access?
Nine colon one.
LST of 9, then
Colon one.
no. So you're talking about slicing. This is not correct. This is a slicing operation. When you're saying colon of something, this will throw an error. Then what? In this
9
case, you
bracket
have to
1.
use new bracket, which indicates that you have one list. And when you're saying 9, it will go to the main list, access that 9 specific element, which is a list only containing 246. Now, in this 246, what is the element you want to access? Index number of that? Can I say it will be 1? So it will try to access. Now I want 1. And once you run this, you will be able to get the element as 4. That is how basically you will be able to access the element in the list of list in Python. Ask me doubt if you have, if it is confusing. It might be. Just see this very carefully. Maybe if possible, try to implement it on your own, and then maybe we can move ahead if it is fine for everyone. Is it correct? Now, if let's say I want to append one more value in the same list, I will say 3, then I'll add one more list, 5, 6, 9, then I will be having 12. Will it be added properly or will it throw an error? What do you think? Will it be added properly or it will throw an error? What do you think? Please try to be very, very awake with respect to whatever we are doing today. Even if you will miss 2 seconds of session, you will feel that let me go here and there and let me come back again. You will miss it for sure. So if you want any break, you can let me know. But for now, just 100% focus should be over this, what I'm mentioning over here, and give me the answer. So Sadhya is saying it will get added. Okay, let's try to see. Makes sense. It is added properly. So that's a good news. We are not getting any error. If I want to access the last element, this is the last element completely. So how can I access? Tell me, how can I access? If I want to access the last element available in this list, how can I access? It should be either we can do again -1, so it will point to the last element, or because we have increased the value, so index number will get increased to 10. Now, I hope that you guys must have that understanding that at every point of time in our code implementation, we are using this append function to add the element towards right side. Internally, dynamic listing is working on. As soon as it will hit the ratio of 10 elements, automatically a new list will be created of size n into 2, and it will try to just add the new specific element of 3, 5, 6, 9, 12. I hope now the things are clear, right? How internally things are happening. Okay? Anyhow, LST of 10 if we will do, we will be able to get the answer. Okay? Now in this, if I want to access 6, how can I access? Listen my problem statement very carefully. So what I want is, I want to access the element 6 in this specific use case. In the above use case, my question was to access the element 4. In this use case, I have a question of accessing the element 6. So many answers I got. Let me try to copy paste each one of your answer. And let's see whether it's correct or wrong. Tell me everyone, this is the answer from Divyanka. Is it correct or wrong? Is it correct or wrong? How it is 8? First of all, in the first bracket, you have to write the index number of the main value. It should not be 8. It is 10, right? So it's completely incorrect from the starting itself. So let me remove this. Again, rethink over it. After that, Kanak said that this is the one. Okay. So -1 will be able to access the last list. Makes sense. Then he is pointing towards 2. Now you know that in this specific list, it will start from 0. 0 will be 3. 1 is 5, 6, 9. 2 will be 12. So it is wrong. Kanak is also wrong. Let's see who will give the correct answer. After that, Purvi said that, Priya, let's use this one. So let me copy this one. And let's see, is this Purvi is correct or not? See this. What she has written is LST of 10. Okay, she has not used negative slicing. It's completely fine. Anyhow, whether you have seen, right? Either I will go for LST of -1 or LST of 10. It will point to the same list. So yes, we got to the list. Then she has used 1, which makes sense to me because 0 is 3, 1 is 5, 6, 9. It's a list. And then 2 is 12. So it makes sense to me. After that, she has again used 1 because see, what is happening is as soon as you will use this particular number, we will be having 5, 6, 9. So now what she has done is inside that, she has used one more bracket to mention 1 because I have said to her, I want 6. So if I'll run this, definitely 6 will be there. So it's a correct answer. What Purvi has said is correct. So I'm talking about the first correct answer, which I got is Purvi's one. So is that understanding is fine now? So if I'll in future provide you multiple list of list, will you be able to access the element very easily in Python? Any confusion anyone is having? By illustrating these examples, the idea is not to confuse you. The idea is to give you a better idea that how can we easily access the element with the help of index numbers and what's the mindset of using 1 bracket, 2 bracket, 3 bracket, 4 bracket, and so on. Depending upon what kind of number you want to access from a given list, accordingly, you have to change these values. Will that work for everyone now? Is that understanding is fine? Everyone? Any doubt? Anyone? Now, with respect to this list part, you can see that we have multiple operations which we can use in the list. For example, we have clear, which will simply clear the list altogether. We have a function of copy, which will copy the entire elements that we have to another list. We have a function of count, right? To just count the number of elements that we have in a given list. We have a function of extend to extend the size of our list. Index to search the entire string in a given list. For example, I'll use index. Inside that, I will mention any of the element. For example, I want 64. So it will tell me the index number of 64. Let's see. So you can see that this 64 is available at third index. 0 is 24. 1 is 47. 2 is 76. 64 is available at third index. Let's see what will happen if I will mention LST of index of 6, which is available as a part of internal string, that to 2 times. So what it will return to me. So it is showcasing me that this specific number is not available in a list, but you can see it is available in a list. So why is that responding like this? If I'm mentioning, let's say 65, it is giving me the correct answer again. But as soon as I'm mentioning that where is my sixth index, sixth number, sixth element is available in a given list, which is LST, it is throwing me an error. What is the reason behind that? Yes. The main reason is this index number will work if you want to check the elements in the main list. This is a part of another list, 246. So if you want to really access it, maybe you have to first of all specify in which specific list you want to go and check it out. For example, this LST91, if we will check it, this is a list. And this list belongs to, yeah, 9 is this specific 246, 1 is this 4. So if I'll just remove this, LST of 9 will give me a list. Now if I'll just run this dot index of 6, will that work? Now will that work? What do you think? Or it will same throw the error? Let's see. So now you can see as soon as I am jumping towards the main list, where current list is 246 and I want to search for index value of 6 element, it will give me an answer. It will not throw an error. So that's how the index function works. Anyhow, we are at the function. So I'm not, implementing all these functions. This is your today's task after the session. Whatever functions we have, please try to implement them, because there are many functions. I'm talking about all of these in a very, brief manner, that, okay, this is what it is doing. But definitely whatever function I feel should be implemented, I am implementing and showcasing you the stuff. But for those which I feel that it's very easy and you can do it at your end, that's your complete task of today's session, that you will try to implement it. One more thing, you can in Python, many people usually ask from me that, Priya, from where we will refer the resources. So the better idea could be the documentation. So for example, Python list data structure documentation, if you will search, you will be able to get a complete documentation of that. So you can see every function inside the documentation is defined. What this append will do, what this extend will do, what this insert will do, what this remove will do, what this pop will do, what this clear will do, what this index will do, what this count will do. So all the functions that we have covered up, copy will do. It will return a shallow copy of the list. We will discuss about this stuff. What is shallow copy? But anyhow, what I'm saying is, you can see reverse function reversing the element. So please refer this documentation side by side and try to implement in this collab file in the same list all these functions. But anyhow, whatever functions I feel is important, I am discussing over there. After that, we have insert function to insert a new element with respect to any specific index. For example, if let's say you're using append function, so by default, it will append towards the right extreme. But if you want to insert the element at second index, third index, fourth index, so how will you do that? Let's see this function. So you can see, again, in the documentation, you can refer. Just now I have opened insert function, right? So insert of I comma x means I is the index number where you want to insert the element. X is the actual value. For example, I'm saying that, let's say at the second index. So this is my list, right? This is my list. I'm saying at the second index, just insert the element 72. So what I will do is I will say second index is the index number. Element is 72. And again, if I just want to see the list, I will be able to check that automatically 72 will be available at second index. And all the elements after that will be shifted towards right side, right? So when you're using append function, by default, it will be appended towards the right side of the list. But when you're using insert function, you can manually, tell to the list that, I want to insert a new element with respect to this specific position. So that's how things will be done. After that, other functions could be, let's see, remove, same thing will happen. It will remove the elements. Reverse, simply reverse the entire list. So if we just use this specific function, what will happen is you will be able to get the complete reversal of a list. Why the reverse won't happen? Let me check the documentation. So let's try to store it in a LST1 and let's try to print that. Oh, where is the issue? Reverse the elements of the list in place. It should reverse. LST2, which is equals to 2579. And if I'll just do lst dot reverse and I'll just print that, let's see, it is showing me an none. Anything which I am doing wrong in terms of implementation? Oh, got it. So basically, there is a idea of two specific words which we have, seen in this documentation. So if you can see the documentation of reverse, it is saying it is reversing the element of the list in place. So let's try to understand this word. What is the meaning of in place? Anyone, any idea with respect to this part? In place? Any thoughts? In algorithms, we have a data structure called as sorting algorithms, in which we have the example of a merge sort. We usually say it's an outplace sorting algorithm. Similarly, when we are discussing in the list a reverse function, in documentation, it is specified that the kind of algorithm that we have implemented here is in place. What is the meaning of this? In place meaning that we are not using any extra data structure to return the result. That is why when I'm storing the result in a new data structure, I'm getting the answer as none. And it is not running because anyhow, these functions I'm not defining. It is already defined by developers internally. And documentation says that this is the working of that function. So it is saying that you cannot use any other data structure to store the result. In place meaning is this. So when I'm in the implementation, storing the result in some other list, and I'm getting that list 2.reverse. So inside that, I'm getting the answer as none. But as soon as I'm just seeing that same list, because in place means that you're doing the operation in the same list itself. So I'm getting the answer as 9752. So in this case also, when we are doing LST, now check it out, reverse. And if we will just try to print the LST. Now reversal happened because the operation is being done in the same list itself. That's the meaning of in place. So this reverse happened as in place operation in a list. In place meaning that no new data structure is being used. We will do everything in the same data structure itself. That is the meaning. Is it fine? Shall we move ahead to the next discussion? LST dot. After that, we have a sort function, which I was talking about, sorting algorithm. So it will simply try to sort the list in the form of ascending or descending order. Whatever you want, it will do that. So that is the main idea. Remaining functions, maybe you can just try and just check it out, this specific implementation also, with respect to whatever discussions we have made so far. Every function definition is given in the documentation. And as soon as you will just write this LST dot, automatically a list of functions will come up. Whatever you want to apply, you can apply. So till so far, the discussion with respect to the list data structure, very first data structure in our today's class, we are discussing list data structure. Is it clear to everyone? Any doubt in this part? Anyone? Anyone is having any doubt? Please ask before we will proceed. Yes. Any doubt? Anyone? Or shall we proceed to the next part?
I have one query. In list, if we have the double value, like two times the same value is occurring, then how we will identify on which index number it is placed?
Okay, it's a good question. So let's try to again see the implementation and then let's try to see that. Because if I'll give you the direct answer, you will not remember automatically. But when you visualize it, you will be able to get it very easily. So what we can do is maybe we can append one more element 67 in the same list. So what she is saying, let me repeat this question and then maybe we can discuss this answer. So she's saying that let's say if we will be having a duplicate values available in a list, which is a very simple scenario and it's very trivial. In a given data, we might have duplicate elements, right? And just now we have explored that that index number will be able to give us the answer as the index number of a given element, right? So before we will do this implementation, any guesses? What do you think? Like, will it return all the index values of a given number, or it will return the last end where the max, that number is available, or the first value where it is available? There are three answers can be there. Either it will return all the specified index numbers wherever 67 is available, or it will return the very first time where 67 is available, or it will return very last time where 67 is available. So what do you think is the answer? The first value. Yes, that's true. So it will return by default the first value where that element is available. So let me showcase you with an example. If let's say I'll say lst dot append, and I will add 67 over here, and then I'll check lst dot index of 67. Now, if you will just see the list, first of all, let's check whether we will be having duplicate values now or not. So you can see 67 is available here also, here also. So what it is returning, by the way, because we have done the reversal, so completely the list is now changed. The index values has completely changed. So you have to check. It will be 0, it will be 1, it will be 2, it will be 3, it will be 4. Fourth time, fourth index, very first time, 67 is appearing. And that's why we have an answer of 4 in this specific case. So is it fine for everyone? Any doubts over here, this point? Anyone? Will that answers your question? Who asked the question?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. Now, one thing, very small thing, which is pending with respect to list part, and then we can move ahead with respect to another part in today's session. You will heard this term quite a lot, that this specific data structure in Python is a mutable data structure. Mutable. It's a, if you will just see the standard references, documentations, everywhere they have mentioned that it's a mutable data structure used to store the collection of items, right? Mutable meaning, it's an English word. What is the meaning of mutable? It means that, yes, what Rohan said is very much apt. It can be changed. Mutability means that it can be changed, means it's not fixed. So always remember, that is why you can see we have an append function. If we cannot change in any specific data structure, if the data structure is immutable, means we cannot change, you never ever find this append function over there. So always remember that list is a mutable data structure, means simple meaning is that we can change the values available inside the list in whatever way we want. If we want to append it at the end, we can easily append it. If we want to do the insertion in between of any of the element, we can easily done that. That's the main intuition behind a list specific data structure. Will that part is clear? Why it is mutable? We have seen that. Because from the very scratch itself, we will keep on doing the changes in the list itself. So that is the major reason why it's a, part of a mutable data structure. In an interview usually asks you the question, what is the difference between list versus tuple? That's a very famous question, specifically in data analytics interviews and even in data science interviews as well. Because in both the scenarios people usually deal with the Python programming? So that's one of the very widely asked question in the technical rounds, because both looks very similar as a part of a data structure. Major reason is that tuple is immutable. Means this is a specific data structure which cannot change, right? We don't have append function in this tuple. So let's try to now deep dive in the next half an hour with respect to this tuple part. There's not a lot more which we have to discuss in tuple, just like the way we have discussed in list, because it's almost same, but we will discuss that, uh, if it's almost same, then what is the list? What is the need of tuple? Why don't everyone usually go with list to do their task? So we will discuss that aspect. That's the main thing which I want to discuss with respect to this data structure. So before we jump towards the next data structure today, do you have any doubts, anyone? Maybe the plan is it's almost 3:30. Let's discuss this specific data structure, and then maybe we will see. Otherwise, I'm planning that we can go ahead and discuss after that in the next half an hour, this basic aggregate functions discussion. Anyhow, is the list part is clear to everyone? Before we will jump ahead, any doubts, anyone? Okay, if it is clear, let's move to the tuple part now. First of all, in all these data structures, you always have to understand the way of defining them. The list bracket, if you remember, is this kind of a bracket where we have this ending one, the starting. Tuple is something where you have this kind of brackets. Okay? Always remember that. This is the way to initialize a tuple. So if let's say you want to add any elements in this tuple, for example, 2, 4, 8, 12. After that, let's say you want to have any different type string also, maybe again, Priya, and then you want to add any other tuple inside that, which is 5, 6, you can simply add that. The way I have mentioned in the list, it's exactly same. Means you can add different collection of items, different data types in a tuple very easily. So that's not an issue, right? So if I'll just want to showcase you how this TUP tuple looks like. So as soon as you will initialize this kind of a bracket, it will automatically assume that, okay, we are talking about a tuple data structure. It will automatically understand that point in the Python programming. So that's not an issue, right? Now, if I just want to showcase you how will it looks like, so you can clearly see it will look like this thing. If you want to access any element in a tuple, for example, I want to access, let's say 5, 6. So how can I access? What should I mention? TUP. I want to access the last element in a tuple. So how can I access? Any guesses? Anyone? Because now you have understood about list completely. So it's very easy to understand tuple. So it's not this kind of a bracket to access the element because of the initialization. I think you are feeling like that. Just like the way you access the elements in the list, it will remain same. So by default, in this tuple also, indexing will be there like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So if you want to access, let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 element, fifth index, so you will mention TUP of 5. So it will print 5, 6. If I'll just mention TUP of -1, let's see, just like in a list, do we have a negative indexing over here also or not? So you will be able to observe that, as I told you, it's exactly same in terms of a picture. So it will be able to access the last element. If I want to access specifically 6 in this tuple, so how can I access? If I want to access specifically 6 in this case, so how can I access? Very good. So just like the way we had an understanding few minutes back regarding the list of a list access, same thing you have to apply over here. So TUP of -1 will give you the 5, 6. Now in this 5, 6, you want 6, right? So index number 0 is mapped towards 5. Index number 1 maps towards 6. So it will be 1. So you will be able to get the answer as 6. That's the result that we will be able to achieve. Will that be correct? Easy? Simple? Now it should be easy, right? Because list, I think you already have made a focus. So it should be very, very simple for everyone now. Okay. Okay. That's great. But now, just like the way we have seen in list, we have so many functions available. The question is that do we have similar kind of functions available in a tuple? So let's see. And as soon as you will click on this dot, you will be amazed that we just have two functions in the tuple. Only two functions. If you remember in the list, we have a majority of functions. And I told you even that after the session, you have to implement on your own. I have just implemented few of them. I think 3 or 4 or 5 I have done. And remaining, I told you, you have to do. In the documentation, we have seen lot many functions are there. But in tuple, only two functions. Can you see? If I just click on dot, I have count, I have index. So index working will remain same. As soon as I'll just click on this 12, for example, it will provide me the index value and TUP of, let's say, I'm saying count. And if, let's say, I will mention again any number, it will tell me that how many number of times that number is available. Similar to what we have discussed in a list part. So this count function, simply whenever, whatever number you're writing, it will generate the frequency of that specific number. So if you will just try to have like duplicate elements, and if you want to check that how many number of times that element is repeating, you can easily check that. So if any element is having a count value more than 1, definitely that is a duplicate element and you can directly return that. That's the core idea of this count function. But that's it. In tuple, we just have only these two functions. We don't have append, we don't have remove, we don't have insert, we don't have pop. No as such functions are available. The only reason is because, as I told you, it's a immutable data structure. As soon as you have allocated a space for this specific data structure, you cannot increase that space. If you want to insert more elements, you need to recreate a new tuple altogether to add the new elements. But appending is not feasible. Removal of elements is not feasible. Popping is not feasible. So that's the main idea. And that's why we just have only two functions available in this specific data structure by the name of index and count. Will that make sense to everyone? What I'm trying to convey over here? What is the internal intuition behind this tuple data structure? Will that be fine for everyone? Shall we move ahead now? Now, with respect to whatever discussion we have made so far, with respect to list and tuple, I hope it is pretty much clear to everyone, right? Now, my question is, if someone will ask you which specific data structure with respect to list and tuple will do a faster operation, so what will be the answer? As per your understanding in this session, whatever you have learned so far. So my question is, out of the list and tuple data structure, which one will be more efficient and faster operation out of these two? So everyone said tuple, which is very much an apt answer. Why? Because, in list, there is a concept of dynamic listing. So as soon as we're appending the elements and as soon as it will get finished the size, it will first of all recreate the new structure, add the elements of size n into 2, reiterate the same elements, copy them, then doing the insertion for the new elements. It's a very, very cumbersome task, right? And that's a slow process. If let's say my list is having 10 elements and I just want to insert 8 or 9, it's very fast. But as soon as the number hits to the complete size of the data, it will again do this process, copying the elements, which is a very slow operation, right? It requires a lot of time. Whereas in tuple, that is not a requirement, because tuple, once it is being created, we cannot change it, right? So that is why if someone will ask you which one is the faster operation, always remember tuple is a faster operation. Tuple does a faster operation as comparable to a list. That's the number one point. Tuple does a faster operation as comparable to list, right? Very, very important. And this is, I think, second point that we have discussed. First point is tuple is a immutable data structure, whereas list is a mutable data structure. And somehow the second point which we have mentioned is the reason behind that is the first point itself. So both are somehow interconnected, but you can always make these 2 points whenever someone is talking about the difference between list versus tuple, even though accessing the elements look same, definition looks same. So where is the difference? Another difference could be in terms of data definition. Tuple bracket is somehow different from the list. That is also you can convey in terms of implementation. But these are the two important core points which everyone should know. Will that be fine for everyone? Any doubt? Anyone? So far, so good. If let's say, I will say in my tuple that, at index number 1, where 4 is available, just insert the value as 5. And then again, display me tuple. So what do you think will happen? So this will throw an error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. So many times I have seen various developers usually try to override the values as a part of a tuple data structure. Don't do that. This is a very common error in the industry. So as soon as you're trying to assign a new value in the tuple, you forget that property of immutability. And that's why this error is coming up. So please always remember, these are the two important specific things which we have as a part of a tuple. I hope it is clear to everyone. Any doubts, anyone, with respect to these 2 points? I have removed that code just to illustrate you. I have shown you, but anyhow, I hope you remember that now. Right? Any doubts, anyone? So I can maybe mention in the comments, maybe because tuples are immutable, as soon as you will say tup of 1 as 5, definitely this code would raise a type error. Always remember that. Because of the property of a tuple as immutable. Okay? Make sense to everyone? So far, so good? So far, so good? Shall we proceed ahead? Everyone is ready? Let's cover up one more data structure also, sets. Still, we have more time. So let's cover up that as well, and then maybe we can move ahead. Shall we proceed to the sets part? Set. Now, it's one of the amazing data structure, and usually it is being used to eliminate the duplicate entries. Always remember. So at any point of time in your daily day-to-day work in the industry, you are having a use case where you want to remove the duplicate entries or eliminate the duplicate entries, you will always go for set specific data structure. Before coming to that point, one important point which I want to convey here, if I will ask you in a real-time industry, what do you think in terms of storing the data? List is more usable or tuple? Can you give me the answer? So I'm asking you, in a practical real-time use cases in the industry, list or tuple, which one is heavily used to store the data and why? Before we will jump towards set, we will discuss set also, but anyhow, because now you have knowledge of both of these data structures, what will be your answer? So people have said list. Can you give me the reasoning behind that? So many people have said the answer is list. Why?
Because it is mutable. So sometimes it is important for list to change.
Correct. So that's true. You will observe that maximum time in a real-time use cases, people are preferably storing the data points, the records of a given data in a list. The only reason is what he has already conveyed. We can easily append it. There is no as such issue that we have. But at any point of time, when the use case will come, where you know pretty well that data will not get changed, and uh, you want more retrieval of the data point, you want to access the data very fastly. So always go for tuple, right? So there are two things which we want, which you have to understand. So it depends on the use case. List we always go for when we want to do the insertion uh, or deletion, or I would say update of the elements very frequently. In that case, always go for list. But when we're talking about tuple, so as soon as you know that the data size is fixed, and you want to do more retrieval operations. Retrieval means accessing the data. So always go for tuple because that's a very fast operation as comparable to list. So it depends on which specific use case you are solving, but maximum number of times in the companies, we are solving the first use case because we want a flexibility in terms of doing a addition of an element or a removal of them or updating the elements. So we'll always go for list as comparable to tuple. That's the main idea. So will that make sense to everyone? I hope it answers the question. So you can ask from the industry experts, the business clients, that what is your requirement. As per that, you can definitely go for different types of data structures as per your need. Right? There is nothing good or bad in the industry, and whatever work we are doing, there is nothing good or bad. There is nothing good programming language or bad programming language also. I always say to people, many students as a beginner are confused that which specific programming language is best for me. It's nothing good or bad over here. Even I don't have, I can't say I really like Python. I don't like this. Whatever work will come, I have to switch, and I should be flexible enough. Then only I will get that pay, right? So that's the main idea. So okay, with this, let's try to now move ahead to the another discussion of a set now. So shall we start discussing about that? So we have seen in a set, basically the advantages that we can eliminate the duplicate entries. Now let's see how is it feasible. And first of all, how can we create a set? So let's say I will be having a name as my underscore set. This is the way to curate a set. Again, a different type of a bracket. So you will observe in a list, we have a separate bracket. In a tuple, we have a different bracket. And in a set, we have a different category of a bracket. Now, if I just want to add an element like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I can simply add that. And I can simply print that specific values in the set. So I will be having this specific data structure as a set where the elements are available. Now, if I just want to see the functions of this set, I can see again there are many more functions that we have. One thing, if you observe in maths in our lower classes, we usually have a Venn diagrams. How many of you remember Venn diagram, where we do intersection of sets? We discuss that how we can do a difference of a set, how we can find a disjoint of a set. Do you remember? I hope in your earlier days, maybe 10th, 12th, I don't remember exact classes where it usually comes up, but at least in our education curriculum, we have a topic of set in maths where we usually see the operations of sets. So all of these operations you can apply with respect to this specific data structure, and you can easily see difference will basically try to see the difference of values, intersection will find the common values, and so on. But anyhow, if let's say I want to add any new element in this specific set, for example 2, I can simply add it. So as soon as you will see this element value, now it is automatically gets added. But now you can see this is exactly the same. If I'll just try to add maybe some more elements like 8, you can see somehow now the changes will come. The question is, why is that so? Like when I'm adding 2, I cannot see any of the changes over this specific part and this specific part. Because as I told you, it will not accept the duplicate entries. And because 2 is already available in my set, so as soon as I will say to my internal code that just add 2, it will first of all do the checking that is this 2 is already available in the set. If it is already available, it will simply not add the 2 again. And if it is not available, definitely it will add it. That's the main idea. If you want to remove any element, so definitely there is a function called as remove. You can definitely remove that. So again, here you can see it's very, very easy to do the addition, removal, right? Everything we can do over here. So it's again a mutable data structure, which you have seen, because simply we are adding the elements, we're removing the elements, we're doing a operations over there. So it's not something like tuple where we cannot do anything on top of this. Usually in practical real-time scenarios, this specific data structure will be preferable, where let's say you will say, your interviewer will say that remove the duplicate elements from a given list. For example, I will provide you one list as LST1, which contains the values as 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 4. And let's say they are saying that I just want the output where no duplicate elements will be available. Right? You have this list. I want the output where no duplicate elements will be available. So what we usually do, we try to convert that in the form of a set. This is the way to convert one data structure to another, just like the way we have learned in the last class with respect to typecasting. Same thing we can do over here also. So list is a separate data structure. And obviously it will prefer the elements duplicates. But as soon as you will convert that into the form of a list and you will try to print the elements, it will return the elements without duplicates. And that's the major motivation behind using this specific data structure. Apart from this, usually people don't use this. The main idea would be this only, duplicacy part. So is that fine for everyone? Any doubt in this part? Again, whatever functions we have as a part of a set, you can refer the documentation, try to implement that. And if you're facing any trouble in the tomorrow session, you can let me know. But whatever with the important stuff we have with respect to the list, tuple, and set, I have showcased you. Any doubts on this part? Anyone? You can ask. Then maybe we can move ahead with respect to the next discussion of today's session. So far, so good. Any doubts? Anyone? Can I get the confirmation from everyone so that we can proceed ahead with respect to the SQL questions? Perfect. So this is the overall idea behind today's session. So with this, let's try to take a pause and we will continue our discussion with respect to the, I would say, next data structure, which is dictionary, in the tomorrow's class. So we will start our discussion of dictionaries in the next session, where we will talk about in depth what is dictionary. So in the next session, we will discuss about this. Okay? Tomorrow's class. And we'll see the implementation, how the internal working will come up, everything we will explore towards this. So let's try to take a pause over here and just open the SQL platform and let's discuss these problems of basic aggregate functions. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 problems are there. So if you want, you have specific problems in your head which needs to be discussed, I can open that one. Otherwise, I can open as per my wish few problems and discuss with you. So whatever way you want. First of all, if you have any problems to discuss, you can let me know. In this specific module of basic aggregate functions, tomorrow we will discuss about the another module at the end of the class, which is sorting and grouping. So give me 2 minutes. I'll come back. You can also take a 2 minutes of your time and then maybe we can start. Okay, it's 53. I'll come back by drinking some water and then we'll start. Okay. Okay. Oh, is everyone here? Shall we start now? Okay. The very first problem is average selling price mentioned by Rohan. So let's start with that and we'll go step by step. Let me open this problem and let's discuss what this problem says. Let me remove everything and let's see. Anyone who has attempted this problem and will be able to successfully run this problem in the class? Anyone? Can I get some response? Yes or no? Is everyone is facing a trouble in this problem? Or anyone who is successfully able to execute it? Done. Problem faced. Okay. Okay. Let's see. What this problem says is that we have two tables. One is prices, in which we have product ID, we have start date, we have end date. And these three are the primary keys, combination of columns, okay? Each row of this table indicates the price of the product ID in the period from start date to end date, okay? For each product ID, there will be no two overlapping periods, means there will be no two intersecting periods for the same product ID. Okay? Then we have second table, product ID, purchase date in the units. Okay. What we want at the end of the day is the average selling price for each product. And they want us to, place that in a two decimal places, means we need to use round function, result the table in any order. So we have product ID 1 and we have product ID 2. What we want is the average selling price. So if you can see for the product ID 1, 100 is the unit price, 5 is the price. So 100 into 5 plus, I believe, then on the next day, 15 into 20. Yes, divided by total units that we have sold, which is 150. So we got the first answer as 6.96. Second answer will be the same only. 200 is the units and 15 is the price. So 200 into 15 plus 30 into 30 divided by 200 plus 30 is 230. So that is the answer, which is 16.96. So corresponding to product ID 1, the answer is 6.96. And for product ID 2, the answer is 16.96. Okay? Is the problem statement is clear to everyone? Any doubt in the problem statement? Anyone? The maths is clear how they are getting the answer as 6.96 and 16.96 as the average selling price for each product. Any confusion over this part? It means that somehow when we are doing an evaluation, we need to write a code where we are doing a summation of units into price for each specific product ID that we have, divided by total number of units that we have, right? And that is what we want to display as an average price. So shall we start our implementation if the maths is correct, right? So firstly, what we want to select product ID. So we have two tables available. We have a table of prices. We have a table of units sold. So can I say from prices table, we want to see product ID. Obviously, we need to do a grouping at the end. We will do that. Second thing, what we want is, because we want a separate 1 and 2, right? We don't want the multiple elements. So definitely with respect to whatever values you're mentioning, at the end of the part, you need to do a grouping to get the final result. Group by this one. We will do. Second thing, what we want is the average price. For that, we need to do a mathematical evaluation. So how can we do? Also, we need to check if, let's say, there is a null value. In that case, obviously, the average will be 0, right? 0.00. For example, with respect to any of the product ID which is available in the prices, let's say unit sold is not available. So in that case, our answer should be 0. So there is a function called as if null, which we can use over there, that if the answer is 0, then replace the answer with 0. If the answer is null, replace the answer with 0. Otherwise, do the evaluation. So what is the evaluation we want? We want to use a round function. Inside that, we want to do a summation. Summation of what? Units available into price divided by sum of what? Anyone who can give me the answer? What should I mention over here? Sum of units. Very good. This is how basically we will do the average part. This is done. Now what I want is until two decimal places. And what I want is 0. So what I'm saying over here, try to understand this line. I have said, do the evaluation and give me the result as two decimal places. If the answer is null, on top of that, I have applied a function, then return it as simple 0. That's it. And I'll make it as an alias name as average underscore price. Okay? Now, what's next? From table name, prices. What kind of join should we apply? Obviously, we have to merge these two tables, right? Prices table and units sold. We have two tables and we want to combine these two tables to get this evaluation done. So what kind of join should I apply over here? Is that inner join? Is that right join, left join, full join? It should be left join. Why? Why I'm saying left join? Because we want corresponding to whatever product ID available in my prices table, I want the average selling price. So you can again listen this problem very carefully. What they want is write a solution to find the average selling price for each product. So each product which is available in my table, I want that. So left join I will do. So it will give me the values of the average selling price for all the products. If let's say for any product I don't have a units or the answer is 0 or the answer is null, so it will give the answer as 0 in that case. Left join with what table? Units sold. Once it is done, own. What is the common thing where I'm applying this specific join? Now there are two conditions. First common thing you will see, product ID. Can I say? In both the cases, product ID is common. So what can I say? On first thing is prices dot product underscore ID should be equal to units sold dot product underscore ID. That's the first thing. That's fine. What do you think? If this will run, or do we need to add one more condition? So if you will listen this very carefully, they have said that there will be no two intersecting periods for the same product ID. What is the meaning of that? The simple meaning is we should mention and the purchase date, which we have in the units part, should be between the start date and this end date, right? Then only it will work fine. Otherwise, if the purchase date is out of that specific start and end date of the product, then obviously we cannot pick up that specific value, even though the product IDs will be same. So this is what I think will be the code. Let's see and submit this. Working perfectly fine. Just try to see this again very carefully and ask me a doubt if you have in this query. And maybe you can also try to run this code in your own platform. See this very, very carefully. What they want is the average selling price for every unique product that we have in the prices table. So what we have mentioned is, if let's say with respect to this query of 2 decimal places, we get a null answer, we will return that as a 0. Give the alias name as average price. Then we applied a left join. Why? Because we want for every price that is available in every product ID that is available in the prices table. After that, there is a condition that we have applied that the product ID should be same and the purchase date of units sold table should be always between the start and the end date of the price table. Grouping we have to do because we want for each product 1, 2, 3 specifically like that. So see this very carefully and let me know if you have any other confusion apart from this. I think it's a easy problem, not a difficult one. It's just that might be you are facing a difficulty in terms of doing this evaluation because it's a operations that we supposed to do in this specific, part of the module. There are a lot many operations, mathematical operations. So there you might face confusion, but I think if you will try to see the input which is given on the platform and the output, and first of all, try to spend your time in terms of how the evaluation is being done internally, then the better idea could be to write a code. Sometimes what happened is, as soon as we will see the question, we will see the input and output, directly we jump towards writing a code, which is a very bad idea. First of all, try to see the mathematical thing which is happening internally, see the evaluation, how they are doing. They have mentioned everything step by step in the code part. This is how basically we are getting this answer. Listen and understand this very carefully. Then try to write a code corresponding to that, and then things will be very, very easy. Tell me if you have any doubt. Anyone? Any doubt? Can I get some confirmation from everyone? Is it clear? So that we can discuss any other question in this specific module. We are good to go or not? Any of the point, any of the query, any of the subquery, any of the constraint. If it is not clear, please ask from me. Otherwise, we can move ahead. What is the next question you want me to pick up? Gameplay analysis 4. Okay, so the last problem. Any problem above that? Maybe we can take at the very end of the session this problem, as it's the very last problem of this module. Remaining problems are clear. Not boring movies, project employees, percentage of users attending a contest, queries quality and percentage, monthly transaction, immediate food delivery, gameplay we will do now. If it is clear. If there is any other problem apart from gameplay, please help me to understand. I'll implement that one first. Then we will come up to this problem. Immediate food delivery. Okay. So let's discuss that one first, and then maybe we can move ahead. Anyone who has done the attempt of this problem? Immediate food delivery? Queries quality was accepted but wrong in submission. I did. Sadhya, will you be able to implement it? Please guys have a good discussion with among each other also when you're solving these problems. Again, I'm repeating. If your friends will be able to execute this query, then you can discuss with them before jumping towards discussing the problem in the main session. Because as I told you, we have a limited time. And I really want to cover up all the problems of 50 problems in the class itself, but that's not feasible in the live sessions. It's just something that we are doing somehow extra apart from the curriculum that we have to finish. So it's just that I just want you to be good in the interviews. I'm expecting you to finish this task as well. But it all depends on you, like whether you want to do it or not. What is your dream? Accordingly, obviously, you will do the attempts, right? So many people are saying query quality problem they are facing. So let's discuss that first. So query quality and percentage. Okay, this table may have duplicate rows. It contains information collected from some queries on database. Position column has a value from 1 to 500 and rating has a value from 1 to 5. Query with rating less than 3 is called as a poor query. Makes sense. So what they want is, they are saying define query quality as the average of ratio between query rating and its position. Average of ratio between query rating and its position. We also define poor query percentage having rating less than 3. Write a solution to find query name, quality, poor query percentage. So quality, how they are evaluating, that's the main thing which we have to understand. So dog में क्या कर रहे हैं लोग? 5/1, 5/2, 1/200 divide by 3. So we get the quality as 2.50. Similarly, rating is 2, position is 5. So 2/5, 3/3, 4/7, divide by 3. So we get the number as 0.66. Poor query percentage mein what they are doing? In all of these dog specific query, how many ratings are bad? Means less than 3. Only 1. So 1 divided by 3 into 100. So they're getting the answer as 33.33. in the below 3 queries which we have, I think again in this specific part also only one query is having a rating less than 3. So it will be again 1 by 3 into 100, which is 33.33. So anyhow, I think the mathematical task is clear. Do you have any confusion? I think when I am also solving the problem, if you will see here, my focus is on how they are doing an evaluation of quality specific column and poor query percentage specific column. And I'm referring this entire explanation for the same, because if we will make the understanding wrong of how the evaluation is happening, then definitely we will get the query result also wrong. Now, what we want at the end of the day, 3 results. One is the query name, another one is the quality of the query, and the last one is the poor query percentage. So shall we run or try to work upon getting these 3 results? How can we get that? Obviously, we need to write, this is quite simple, query name, and we need to do the grouping also with respect to the query name. That makes sense. But what we want is the quality and poor query percentage. That is something which we have to understand. So shall we discuss about this? If it is fine for everyone? In terms of problem statement understanding, is that fine? Chale? Everyone is ready? Shall I start writing the query? And let's see if we will be able to get the results or not. Select. What we want to select? What is the first thing you want? What is the first thing you want? Query name, right? That too distinct query name, not the repeated one. So you can mention distinct query underscore name. What is the second thing you want? Quality. And for quality, you have to do the mathematical operations. So apply the round operation because you want the result until 2 decimal places. Definitely comma 2 will be there. But first operation is very important in this round function to getting that rating upon position value, right? So what is the average of what we want? Rating. If you want, you can do it manually also. Divide by sum of the count of the query name as dog and then cat, distinct values. But I'm directly using this average function of rating divided by position, right? So here in this specific part, what we want to do over, I'm using here window functions, always remember, because I want the result aggregated functions, also known aggregated one. Query name is a known aggregated one. So that's why I'm going for a window function. So I'm going a partition by which specific thing? Partition by query underscore name. So I think this is fine. This is fine. Check it out. Will you guys agree with me? As I give an alias name, quality. Check this out. This is how basically they have done the evaluation of a quality, where they are saying 5 by 1, 5 by 2, 1 by 200, divide by 3. So how they are doing a partitioning as per the query name. So what I am mentioning, round off, average of, rating by position, over, it will create a window as per the query name. Give the result and make it as a 2 decimal places. Will that be working fine for everyone? Same thing we need to do with respect to poor query percentage. And obviously, again, we need to do a partitioning as per the dog and the cat. So let's try to run this. So what we can do is we can again say round of average. Now, one thing is they have given one condition. If the rating is less than 3, then you have to take the value as 1, right? You need to count those values. So for this, which specific thing we should use to implement in SQL? I have to write a query in a way that wherever the rating is less than 3, count that as a part of 1 and keep on doing the addition as accordingly. So what should I do? What should I use here in terms of SQL query? Anyone who can give me an idea? How can I write this condition of getting the number of records where the rating is less than 3? Can I get some response? Any answers, anyone? Shivanshu, Shrikant, Purvi, Sadhya, Debashish, Simran. Ranking से होगा? No. Case statements, right? When the rating is less than 3. Do you remember case statements we have discussed? We should use case when rating is less than 3. What we want to do? Then mark it as 1, else mark it as 0. I will take the average accordingly, right? You can do the end. And after that, obviously you have to again apply the partitioning. So over partition by query name. Now, one thing is very important in this specific case. We want to make it in a form of a percentage. So into 100, comma 2, right? Again, give the alias name as poor query percentage. From table name is queries. Yep, from queries. Will that work? Shall we try? See this very carefully again. So for the quality part per se, they want the average of rating by position as per the query name to decimal places. For poor query percentage, they want to take only those records having rating less than 3. We'll take the average as per the query name. We are doing into 100 because we want to convert that into a percentage. Into 2 because we want the result until 2 decimal places. Is it correct? Shall we try to see the result? Okay. Accepted. Let's try to submit it. Oh, getting some wrong answer because of the null values available. So how can we avoid this issue? It's quite simple to avoid. What we can do is we can apply one where clause where query name is not null. So what will happen is now only for those operations we will be able to get the output in a result as a display, right? We have applied a filter. You only give me the results where the null is not available. Now let's check. And it is accepted now, right? See this very carefully again and do let me know if you have any doubt or any confusion. Anyone? See this very, very carefully. If I'll ask you, what is the order of execution of this query? What will be your answer? What is the order of execution of this query? What will be your answer? Anyone who wants to give an attempt? Tell me. What is the order of execution of this query?
So I think the first one would be from,
Hmm?
and then queries. Sorry, from queries, and then we'll use it will be where that will be executed,
Hmm?
and then select,
Okay.
and then we are going to also partition by after
Hmm.
that.
So indirectly you want to say, first of all, from will done, then select. Sorry, first of all, from, then where, and then
Yeah.
select. That's what you are saying.
Yes.
From, then where, then select. In which part window function will come, right? Any other answer apart from what she said? Any other person who wants to contradict her statement? From where round select. Okay. Anyone who say that from will run first, then select, and then where? Because that is the 2 points where you have to consider what she said and what's the opposite one can happen. Think over it. From, where, and select. So, okay, everyone is with her. So that's correct. So basically what will happen, first of all, from will directly load the table, right? Now it will check in that table. It will first of all do the filter. Okay, wherever the query name is not null, it will take only those pickup points. Inside that, then it will try to apply this specific query where it will take the distinct query name, window functions round operation it will do to get the quality value and to get the poor quality percentage value. So that's true. From will run, where will run, at the end window functions will run to get the result. Will that be fine for everyone? Any confusion over this point? Anyone? Make sense? Okay. 2 questions we need to discuss more. Immediate food delivery and gameplay analysis. Maybe let's discuss in tomorrow's class these 2 problems, last 2 problems of medium level. But please make sure that whatever easy problems we have covered up in this module, by tomorrow it should be clear to everyone. These 2 problems, immediate food delivery and gameplay analysis, we'll do tomorrow. And then we'll see if time permits with respect to sorting and grouping. We'll do tomorrow or maybe next week we will implement. Just to make sure, till so far, things will be pretty much clear to everyone. One more thing, whatever be the data structure that we have covered up in terms of list part per se and in terms of set part per se, I have not done the implementation of all the functions, right? You have seen that. So whatever functions is important, I have showcased you the implementation. Whatever functions, maybe not that much frequently used, but definitely as a beginner, you should know all of them. At least for one time, you should do the implementation. For that, please refer the documentation. And side by side, see the function, do the implementation. See the function, do the implementation. So 2 tasks for today. First one is this part. So tomorrow what we will do is we'll start our discussion with a dictionary. We'll finish that. After that, I'll look into it. There are a few more stuffs which we're supposed to discuss about Python functions, where we will talk about lambda functions. We will talk about the concept of deep versus shallow copy in Python, very important concept. After discussion of that, maybe we will again focus on the SQL 50. So now it will be a part of our discussions in every session. At least 2-3 problems we will try to solve in every session at the end of the session. Wherever you will say that Priya, in this specific module, this problem we are, facing trouble, I'll click upon that and we'll try to implement that. We will do mutually all together. And I think we will have just 50 problems until so far 3 modules we have completely covered up. Maybe by tomorrow we will completely finished up. After that, we left with 3 or 4 modules further. Yeah, there are 4 modules. So we'll just make sure maybe in the upcoming weeks also we will keep on continuing this practice so that at the end we will be having a great foundation of this part side by side. And in this way, we will not even forget the concepts of previous things that we're learning. So once this complete 50 questions will be over, then I'll try to give you another interesting task. So we will see. So it's a practice now. Ki after every session from today onwards, we will focus on few interview questions, specific problems where you are facing difficulty. And I think with this practice, when the sessions will get over, we will get an advantage of, apart from covering up the important topics or the main session curriculum part structure, we will be able to attempt more problems with respect to interview. so that we will be having a full-fledged idea towards both the aspects of interview preparation also, plus, main sessions also. But by saying that, definitely we will not shift our focus. Our first focus should be to cover up the curriculum, because we should keep on moving. It's not that we are steady and focusing just on SQL. Otherwise, definitely our course will get delayed. So that's not my idea. My idea is to cover up, apart from what things we need to deliver, extra things. That's the main idea, right? Do we have any question regarding lists, set, and tuple? By saying that, what do you want to convey, Ayush? Interview questions, you are saying? Or assignment question? In interviews, as I told you, few questions I already have said, right? Whatever I have said, that's the only thing. Difference between list versus tuple. Uh, Majorly, why sets are useful. In what specific interview questions they will ask you. Given a list, try to remove the duplicate elements. That's where the advantage is. And in interviews, they will not ask you exactly the function names, ki implement this specific function. It depends, वैसे तो, but usually maximum times they won't ask you the inside functions question specifically, and which specific operation is faster, which one is mutable, immutable. So whatever interview prospective questions we can make in these three data structures, I already have conveyed to you all, right? Apart from this, as I told you, there are few things as per the code perspective which can be required and which we will do on lead code platform once our this discussion of SQL questions will be over in the upcoming classes. So it's a long journey. So we will keep on doing step ahead with respect to those parts. Okay. But whatever with the frequently asked questions in the session, I already have shared with you. Make sense?